Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Canadian Research Security Weekly Roundup. First off, a very happy and healthy 2026 to all of you. We are so excited to be back, and we're kicking off the new year with some absolutely huge developments in the world of research security. I can't wait to break it all down with you.
So, for our first roundup of the year, we're starting right here at home with a massive surge in Canadian innovation. Then we're going to zoom out to look at the complex global challenges that researchers are facing. And to wrap it all up, we're going to look at a brand new way to protect data that, honestly, feels like it's straight out of science fiction. Let's get right into it.
All right, here's the game plan for today. We'll start with Canada's innovation surge, then move to the global chessboard of competition and risk. After that, we'll see how nations are fortifying their research, and we'll finish up with something I think you'll find fascinating, the idea of poisoning data to protect it.
And we are absolutely kicking off 2026 with a bang. Let's dive into the incredible surge of investment and innovation that's happening right across Canada. First up, let's talk about a huge number, 180 million Canadian dollars. That's the latest funding round for Vancouver's quantum computing firm Photonic. And this isn't just a big investment, it's a really strategic push to commercialize their very unique entanglement-based quantum platform. The big goal here is to build a real anchor company in Canada, turning our world-class research into a truly competitive global industry.
And you can feel that energy just about everywhere. Over in Manitoba, for instance, innovation grants are fueling an incredible range of projects. We're talking about everything from renewable battery materials and smart shelves to cut down on food waste, all the way to wireless EV chargers and even AI-powered grading tools. It's just a perfect snapshot of how diverse and practical Canadian innovation is at the provincial level.
Now this is a really big deal. NSERC is partnering up with Quebec's Axelis to tackle what some people have called IP philanthropy. That tendency for valuable Canadian research to end up being commercialized somewhere else. And the data here tells a really stark story. In Quebec, under their model, almost 90% of intellectual property stays with Canadian companies. But in the rest of Canada, it can be as low as 33%. So this new agreement aims to take Quebec's successful model and scale it up nationwide, which could be an absolute game changer for keeping the benefits of our research right here at home.
And that momentum just keeps rolling out west in Alberta, which is seeing this dual surge. The University of Calgary has basically become Canada's top space research hub, with over 20 satellite missions under its belt. At the same time, the University of Alberta is really expanding its focus on defense and dual-use tech, and that's thanks to increased federal spending. So from exploring space to advanced drone surveillance, Alberta is quickly becoming a leader on two really critical frontiers. Okay, so now let's pivot from what's happening here at home and take a look at the international stage. Because, as we know, all this incredible innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. The global chessboard is more complex than it has ever been, with fierce competition, brand new risks, and powerful spheres of influence shaping the entire landscape. And a huge piece of that landscape? Well, it's funding. A new report just revealed that Qatar is the top foreign donor to American universities, contributing a staggering $6.6 billion. And the single largest recipient? Cornell University, which got $2.3 billion of that to help fund its medical school campus in Doha. It's just a powerful reminder of how interconnected and how financially complex global education has become. Speaking of global hubs, China's 1,000 Talents program is still successfully attracting top-tier international researchers. They're offering very competitive salaries and access to state-of-the-art facilities in key areas like AI and quantum computing. In fact, a recent report from Nature pointed out that 4 of the top 5 natural science research institutes are now located in China. And this is all happening despite ongoing concerns about academic freedom, but it shows a really clear trend of China becoming a major center of gravity for global research talent.
Of course, the geopolitical chessboard also involves some very high-stakes human elements. A recent prisoner exchange between Russia and France saw the release of a French researcher, Laurent Vinatier, who was arrested in Moscow on espionage charges. In return, France freed Daniil Kasakin, a Russian basketball player who is being held on U.S. ransomware charges. It's a pretty stark example of how researchers can get caught right in the middle of these complex international relations.
And of course, there are the direct digital threats. A new campaign by the Pakistan-linked group APT36 is targeting Indian government and university systems. It all starts with a simple spear phishing email, but it quickly installs this adaptive malware that allows for persistent surveillance and data theft. The key thing to remember here is that these aren't just smash-and-grab attacks. They are sophisticated, long-term intelligence gathering operations.
So, with all those challenges on the global chessboard, how are countries actually responding? Let's take a look at how nations are trying to fortify their research ecosystems with new policies and new protections.
For the European Union, 2026 is shaping up to be a truly defining year. They're negotiating their long-term budget, they're finalizing new innovation laws, and they're launching their next massive funding program, FP10. The decisions they make this year are going to set the course for European research and innovation for the next decade. But as Europe plans for its future, there is a note of caution. This quote from Kurt Decatelera of the League of European Research Universities really gets to the heart of the debate. He warns that finding the right balance here is absolutely key. He argues that while security is essential, going too far could actually stifle the open collaboration that is so vital for real scientific breakthroughs. And that's a tension that pretty much every country is grappling with right now.
And Germany is taking a very concrete step to address this exact problem. This autumn, they're planning to launch a national platform for research security. The whole idea is to bring leaders from both government and science together to provide practical support for things like risk assessments of international partners. It's a very proactive move designed to safeguard their entire research ecosystem.
Meanwhile, in the United States, we're seeing some pretty fascinating push and pull dynamics playing out. On the one hand, a federal court just blocked the administration from making steep funding cuts to the National Institutes of Health, and that is a huge win, protecting critical funding for scientific and medical research all across the country.
But, on the other hand, almost simultaneously, an executive order was issued to withdraw the U.S. from major international scientific bodies like the IPCC on climate change. So you have this really clear internal policy conflict, a big domestic win for research funding happening at the exact same time as a significant retreat from global scientific collaboration.
Okay, for our final section, we are heading into the future. We're going to look at a groundbreaking, almost sci-fi approach to defending intellectual property. This stuff is seriously cool.
So first, we need to understand a key concept called the knowledge graph. Think of it like this. It's not just a database that stores facts. It's a network that actually understands the relationships between those facts, like a giant interconnected digital brain. Advanced AIs rely on these to learn and improve. And for a company, say in drug discovery, their knowledge graph can be worth millions, which makes it a prime target for theft. So how in the world do you protect it? Well, a new technique called Aura offers a pretty radical solution. Instead of just building a taller wall, researchers have figured out how to poison the data itself. They subtly alter the knowledge graph and then create a secret key. If you have the key, you get the right information. But if you steal the data and feed it to an AI without the key, the poisoned data corrupts the system, causing a 94% error rate and making the AI hallucinate. It's not just a lock, it's a defensive weapon that makes the stolen data actively fight back. And that brings us to the end of our first roundup of the year. From massive funding here in Canada to the complex dynamics on the world stage, all the way to data that can literally defend itself, it leaves us with one final thought. If we can now make data fight back, what's the next frontier in protecting our ideas? Thanks so much for joining me.